Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today we're going to talk about some of my goals for 2024, and I was not going to film this video originally because I was like, I don't have that many goals, but then I thought about my own personal goals and I'm like, well, I do have quite a lot of goals, so why not share them, because it's always a great thing to have goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person. That's kind of how I thrive. I'm a type A person. Am I that person that will write a to-do list and write down one thing I've already done and go ahead and check it off because I feel accomplished? Yes, I am. So goals are a big deal for me. I haven't written anything down. I'm just going to go with it on the top of my head because I think that's totally fine. As with goals, I don't think you should have too many or too few. I think if you have too many, you will just fail. And failure is a part of life, yes, but you don't need to fail when you set yourself up for failure. If you have too many goals, you're just setting yourself up for failure, and that's never good. If you have one goal, I think that's okay, but I think it's good to push yourself. So I have about 4 or 5 that I'd really like to focus on in 2024, and we're going to talk about some bookish ones and some personal ones. So let's get into it. So as far as bookish goals go, that's a tongue twister. I do always start off with the number of books I want to read every year, and I think I always set it to 50. I think in 2023, I think this year I read 80, maybe 90. I don't know. I don't keep track of the number anymore, which is why I might even take this goal off because it's just not pertinent to me. 50 is a good number for me. I'll probably read close to 70 or 80 because that's kind of my track record as far as it's going. It is going down though because I'm reading less. I think it's because children. But either way, that will be my reading goal for the year, and hopefully I will accomplish that. And my biggest reading goal of the year is to read more physical books. And so I love ebooks. I have loved them for a while. I really fell in love with them in 2020 when a lot of publishers stopped sending physical copies of ARCs and physical books, and I was like, and the libraries had problems, so I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to read books? And then I bought a Kindle, and it was amazing. I read so many books, and I fell in love with Kindle. I never thought I was going to be ebook reader, but man, 2020 changed me. And then after that, I had my second kid. And when you have a baby, let me tell you right now, holding a big old book up while you're like rocking them to sleep or feeding them is just not ideal. It ain't going to happen, okay? So I loved ebooks even more. But now as she's growing and I just want to read more of my physical books because I have a whole bunch of books on my cart that I have not read just because I don't feel like picking up a physical book. I'm like, oh, ebook's easier, which is, yes, I think it's still valid. Ebooks reading, I still read a lot on ebooks, but I read a lot on my phone because it's just easy and accessible. And one thing with that is I get distracted very, very easily because it is on my phone. Yes, I could read on my Kindle. I get what you're saying, but I just want to read more physical. I want to really work on my physical TBR this year. Like, I feel like these books have stayed here for the past 2 years and I just haven't picked them up because I have been lazy. That is just me. So that is my biggest goal, is to read more of my physical books, personally my own, you know, and dwindle my physical TBR down. It's not like out of control or anything, but it's just, there's a lot of really great books up here that I want to read that I'm just, again, lazy to pick up. Like, yeah, that's my biggest, like, reading goal, is to read more physical books. Is that weird? I don't know. Then we have another one that I want to read, more romantasy. Now, back in the day when I was reading young adult pretty much exclusively, I read all of the fantasy. I read all the fantasy, I read all the dystopian, all the sci-fi, but I have moved out of the young adult genre into the adult genre, and fantasy and sci-fi scares the crap out of me as adult genres because I don't feel like I'm smart enough. And I know you'll be like, don't bash yourself. I'm just not. I am just not, and I'm okay with that. Sci-fi for me, I tried reading it, especially the adult genre. It just can't happen for me. I will really feel stupid. But fantasy is something I am interested in, but I think for me, my niche is romantasy, which they've come up with these past couple years, romance and fantasy. Like, I want to read more of those. So I want to get into that kind of era, if you will, of the romantasy. And I have books like on my TBR that I need to read, like Iron Flame. I still haven't read this yet. Why? I don't know. I couldn't give you a good reason, but this is romantasy. I need to read it. We could also say another goal of mine is to read sequels because I got that one. I also have House of Sky and Breath. Haven't read it. Again, another romantasy. The 3rd book's coming out literally next month. I need to read it. That's another sequel I need to read. I mean, I have so many on my TBR that are just romance and fantasy. This one's more fantasy, I would say. It's The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a YA fantasy, I believe. And that's kind of fantasy, like cozy fantasy. The Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. What else do I have that is kind of cozy fantasy? A Soul by Olivia Atwater. Like I got lots. I got lots and I need to read them. And I think romantasy is kind of my shtick for this coming year. I want to read more of it. I want to love it. I have a lot that I have put on my TBR and hopefully I will get to them. So those are like my 3 main reading goals. I have my reading goal like of number of books I want to read. I have my physical TBR and then I have a genre I really want to read. Other than that, like I'm kind of just, especially this past year, I have just been reading whatever I feel like. I have not put pressure on myself to keep up with new releases. I've not put pressure on myself to read backlists. I've just been reading whatever. And that's been, you know, what it is. And I think I'm just going to continue to go with that because as I've told you many times, you're probably sick of me hearing, you're probably sick of hearing this, but I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old that is autistic and then I have a 2-year-old. So it's hard. And not only that, but I'm taking care of my father who has dementia and he lives with us. And it's just, when I say my plate is full, it is like overloaded, but I know a lot of other people's is like that too. It's just how we have to handle it all. Some days I handle it really good. Some days I do not, much like everybody else. So I'm gonna really focus on reading whenever I feel like. Mood reading is my thing. I like it. I like seasonal reading, but I also like mood reading. It's just how it is. So those are my reading goals. As far as personal goals, I only have a couple. My first one is to be off of this more, like to not use this as much. A lot of us are on this way too much. I have to say myself 100% for sure. I will find myself if I'm just sitting there, my kids are actually occupied by watching something or playing with something, don't want my attention, I will just dead scroll either on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm not on TikTok a lot because if I add that into there, that'd be too much. So I would just dead scroll and 30 minutes will go by and what have I got accomplished? Nothing. And I do understand the importance of resting, but that's hard for me to do. Again, I've told you I'm type A. I actually have a severe problem with resting. Like I can't, you know, people that could just sit there and watch TV. No, it's not me. I'm either sitting there watching TV and folding clothes, sitting there watching TV, making the grocery list. I'm always doing something else that should be done. And I know it's a problem. It's something I need to work on, which we could make it in a goal of 2024. It's to like relax more and just do less. But I honestly do not know how. Like I cannot function my brain, my body to do that. So one thing I can do though is to be off of this less and be more present. I will sometimes be on my phone and my kids do want my attention. We are all guilty of that as parents. If a parent says they're not guilty of that, I don't know what to say. We all have those problems. But I want to be present more. I want to put this away and I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at social media. I don't want to look at just dead scrolling. I want to be more in the moment, especially with my family. That is the most important thing for me. So that is a big goal and it's going to be hard to accomplish. I'm not going to be like day 2, this is easy as this. No, it's going to be hard. I think for all of us it is hard. We are hardwired to our phones now and that's just how it is, and it's not the best thing, it's not the worst thing, it's something I personally want to work on. And my other big goal, I would say my husband and I's, we're going to do redoing. We love working on our house. I've shown you several videos of that. We've kind of redone things. We're going to kind of redo our garage again to make it more office-y kind of area for my husband. And then we're going to redo both the kids' rooms, and we're doing some stuff in our living room. So we're always doing house projects. And with that is money. Our big goal this year is to save more. We're trying to be more budget conscientious. We're trying to make sure we tighten the purse strings up. And I know it's cliche to say, but budgeting does really work. Being careful with your money, knowing where your money goes is very beneficial. And there are some months that's just like, I spent that amount of money, like what the heck? And budgeting is always good. You always have to set yourself up for the future. And when you have kids especially, you have to set them up. And that's just a whole nother thing. So yeah, those are all my goals. When I say them all out loud, I feel like it's a lot. Hopefully I can manage all of them. Somehow I manage by Michael Scott. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, I would love to know some of your goals for 2024. Do you have a lot? Do you have a little? Do you have none? Let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.